This is Exit Your Matrix. I'm Brad Villers, and I want to share something from the very first video I put out on this channel that I think is very important and often overlooked. It's based in my belief that we focus far too much on the plane of effects, which takes its most obvious forms in things like the news, current events, politics, and so on. These are just the manifestations that result from our collective thoughts, emotions, and actions, the three components of consciousness, and I think we're much better served by moving that focus to the plane of causation, what is creating those effects or outcomes. And to me, the condition of the mind is clearly the first and best place to start. So what I had presented way back in those early days is what I call the tenets of the receptive mind. And here they are. First is the desire and ability to do your own thinking. I recently put out a companion piece to my discussion on Larkin Rose's book, The Most Dangerous Superstition, where I focused on Buckminster Fuller and his experiences leading up to his life-changing decision to do his own thinking. I'd encourage you to check that out, but summarized, this is the process by which we come to understand that in some cases, the entirety of our beliefs and mindsets have been acquired through no independent process of our own and instead are inherited from parents, friends, teachers, religious figures, employers, and others. In doing so, we also come to terms with the stark reality that beliefs are immensely powerful forces and can be traumatic to separate ourselves from. Next is embracing cognitive dissonance. This is a term I went fully 4 decades of my life without having any knowledge of, so for those of you who may not be familiar with it, cognitive dissonance is the stress we experience when we consider two contradictory ideas. I've heard it defined as simply holding two contradictory ideas, but I think it's important to point out that it's more specifically the stress or discomfort we feel when doing so. The key here is that the natural human response to hearing points of view that conflict with our own beliefs or mindsets is to reject them, which is the result of us having our identities so intertwined with our beliefs that we feel threatened. So the state we want to work toward is being able to embrace that feeling, move beyond the emotional reactions and to a place where we can evaluate that new information with logic and reason because we've come to terms with the fact that we are not our beliefs. Third is what I call practicing pedestal thinking. When we go to a museum, we'll often see artifacts displayed in these pedestal cases. And forgive me, maybe there's a more precise term. But these allow us to view the object from multiple vantage points, and they typically have one interesting feature, and that is good lighting or illumination. When we apply this to our mentation, this is akin to putting information or knowledge on that pedestal and proceeding to simply observe it, consider it from different angles, walk away from it and then return to it, and here's the key, all without judging it. Fourth is exercising discernment. This takes 2 forms, the first of which is being prudent in our selection of the information and knowledge we consume. It's a huge one because we naturally seek confirmation of our existing beliefs and want to avoid that stress and discomfort of cognitive dissonance I talked about earlier. The second form of discernment is one that I admit I personally struggle with, and that is not only being open to, but seeking out information from sources we otherwise might completely reject. Fifth is recognizing the impact and conditioning of external influences. Now this is one I think we understand, but really don't. If we invest the time and effort, we'll find that many things we've never even questioned have histories, natures, and characters far different than we've been led to believe. This issue is so pervasive that it's almost impossible to pick just one example, but let me see if this one will sufficiently stir the pot. As I posed it several months ago, do you think it's possible that the overwhelming majority of human beings are de facto Satanists? In other words, Satanists in their deeds, in their actions. Now, seances and sacrifices immediately come to mind, but a genuine understanding of Satanism, that is marked by selfish behavior, moral relativism, social Darwinism, and a focus on immediate gratification, combined with some good old-fashioned honesty, yields an unsettling answer. Finally comes allowing, and ultimately welcoming, anarchy of the mind. And always remember that, contrary to our indoctrination, anarchy is simply an, which means without, plus archy, meaning rulers. and does not mean without rules. It simply means without rulers. This is that optimal state where we practice those 5 prior steps and we're moving toward mastery of them, which yields freedom from the domination of inherited, learned belief systems and mindsets. Where we have anarchy of the mind, or true mental freedom, not only have we shed those fears that are associated with unfamiliar ideas and information, but we actively seek it because we understand that in doing so, that exposure puts us on the path toward truth with a capital T. I hope you found this to be insightful. I look forward to seeing you next time, and as always, be well.